If you had lived a million years ago, raw meat alone would probably have killed you before you turned 30. Parasites, bacteria, protein chains your body couldn't break down would have worn you down slowly. And then one day, one of your ancestors did something no other animal had ever done. They tamed a monster that burned hands and stung eyes and refused to be controlled. Fire. In that single decision, we wired the human brain, the human jaw, the human gut, even human social life itself. By the end of this video, you will understand that the most ordinary thing you do tonight while cooking dinner was once the most dangerous experiment that saved your entire species from extinction. The story goes back roughly a million years, maybe further. Scientists found the earliest traces of controlled fire use inside Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. Burned bone fragments, layers of ash, heat-scorched soil. But the truly unsettling part wasn't the fire itself. It was that this fire was no accident, because wildfires spread randomly and die out randomly. But these traces showed something else, that someone had carried this fire deep into the cave, fed it, and kept it burning for hours on purpose. Think about that. No tools, no language, and yet one of our ancestors sat in the darkness blowing on a single glowing ember for hours just to keep it alive. One mistake, one gust of wind, one moment of sleep, and everything could have been lost. And then researchers noticed something even stranger. Bone remains were always found right beside these fires. Burned bones, not just used for warmth, but for cooking. This was the quietest revolution in human history, because cooking didn't just change how food tasted. It rebuilt the human body from the inside out. But first, you need to understand something. Discovering fire was far easier than learning to control it. An unmanaged flame does the opposite of cooking. It scorches, it turns meat into charcoal, it fills everything with smoke until nothing is edible. What our ancestors had to learn was how to keep fire at the right distance, wait the right amount of time, let it burn down into coals, and watch it patiently. This was an unbelievably complex engineering problem by the standards of the time, one we take completely for granted today. And the group that solved it kept far more of its children alive than the group that couldn't. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham proposed a theory that many scientists now take seriously. Without cooked food, you wouldn't be here today, because raw meat and raw root vegetables are brutally difficult to digest. A chimpanzee spends nearly half its day just chewing. Hours of jaw movement, hours of digestive effort. But cooking changed all of that. Fire began digesting food before the body even had to. Protein fibers softened, starches broke down, and calorie absorption nearly doubled. Our ancestors suddenly extracted far more energy from the same food, while chewing far less to get it. And this is where things take a chilling turn, because surplus energy is energy that has to go somewhere. Scientists believe most of that extra energy was redirected straight into the brain. Homo erectus had a brain almost 50% larger than its predecessors. Coincidence? Probably not. The human brain makes up only about 2% of body weight, yet it burns through roughly 20% of the body's daily energy all on its own. Fueling an organ that expensive was nearly impossible on a raw diet. Without fire, the brain watching this video right now might never have existed. Think about it for a second. A chimpanzee's gut is nearly twice as long as yours. It needs a massive digestive system to break down tough, fibrous, raw food. But the human gut shrank over time, became shorter, and started burning less energy to run. Because cooking acted like a form of predigestion happening outside the body, there was less need to invest in a heavy-duty internal digestive system. And the energy saved from that shrinking gut got rerouted directly to the brain. In a way, the reason you're capable of this much complex thought is because your gut got smaller. And the reason your gut got smaller is because one ancestor figured out how to throw a piece of meat onto a fire. But cooking didn't only reshape the brain, it shrank the jaw too. It changed our teeth. Our raw food eating ancestors had massive jaws, powerful chewing muscles, enormous molars. But as food softened, the need for that muscle faded. Jaws shrank, facial structure shifted, and some researchers believe this same shift paved the way for the development of speech itself. Because a smaller jaw and a reshaped throat made producing more complex sounds. So maybe the reason you can talk right now is because, once upon a time, someone threw a piece of meat onto a flame. Now let's get to the truly terrifying part. Fire didn't just change food, it redefined day and night themselves. Before fire, night meant danger. For a species with no night vision, Darkness was hunting hour for big cats, hyenas, massive predators. But fire changed everything. A group sitting around a fire was no longer defenseless in the dark. Predators avoided flame, and this gave humans something no other animal had: long, safe, wakeful nights. So, what did they do with all those extra hours? They talked, they told stories, they built social bonds. Some researchers believe the very origin of human sociality lies right here, in the luxury of sitting safely in the dark around a fire. Daytime was always consumed by work: hunting, foraging, walking, the constant scramble to survive. There was no time to talk, to think, to plan. But at night, in firelight, with stomachs finally full, the brain could finally do something else: imagine. Anthropologists call this firelight time, and some research suggests that most gossip, myth, legend, and moral rulemaking among early human groups took shape precisely during these nighttime hours around the flame. During the day, you survived. At night, you became human. And then there's the food itself. Before fire was discovered, eating was a solitary struggle. Everyone chewed their own raw meat, waiting for no one. But fire turned this into a shared ritual. When an animal was killed, it was now butchered, cooked, and eaten together around a single fire. This may have been humanity's very first dinner table moment. Food was no longer just survival, it became belonging. Who sits by the fire? Who gets a share? Who gets left out? These questions shaped the earliest social rules of human communities. But this power didn't come free. Controlling fire also meant living with the constant fear of losing it. Natural sources of fire, lightning strikes, volcanic activity, were rare and unpredictable. So early human groups likely spent thousands of years not producing their own fire, but simply carrying and tending whatever they found. Moving a single ember from one cave to another, from one season to the next, was a responsibility we can barely imagine today. The prevailing view is that humans didn't actually learn to strike their own fire through friction or flint until much later, possibly hundreds of thousands of years later. So for generations, humans carried a treasure they could never afford to lose. One moment of carelessness could wipe out a group's entire warmth, safety, and cooked food in an instant. Imagine a tribe on the move with one person whose sole job was carrying the call. Wrapped in a damp leaf, shielded from moisture, blown on constantly even while walking. If that ember died, the tribe could be forced to eat raw for days, maybe weeks. Children would fall sick, elders would weaken. In some communities, carrying fire was treated as an almost sacred responsibility, a kind of first profession. And this shows us that one of humanity's earliest divisions of labor may have emerged simply for the sake of a cooked meal. So what does any of this have to do with food? Actually, everything. Because once fire was under control, human nutrition changed completely. Foods that were once inedible suddenly became edible. Many roots, seeds, and legumes are toxic or indigestible raw. Cooking broke down those toxins and unlocked calorie sources that had previously been out of reach, which meant humans could now spread into far wider territories. Colder regions, different vegetation zones, places where survival had once been impossible. Fire redrew the geographic boundaries of humanity. Picture a group of humans leaving a warm valley and heading north, toward the edge of a glacier. Almost nothing there can be eaten raw. Tough roots, bitter leaves, frozen meat. But with fire in hand, that inedible region suddenly becomes livable. Roasted roots soften, frozen meat thaws and cooks. Poisonous plants become harmless. A group carrying fire could explore far more territory and withstand far more climates than a group without it. The reason humans today can live everywhere from the equator to the Arctic Circle traces back to this small, fragile flame. And there's a brutal side to this too, because losing fire didn't just mean a bad night, it could mean abandoning an entire region altogether. If a group got stranded somewhere they couldn't survive without fire and let the ember die out, there was only one option left: return to old, warm, familiar lands or die where they stood. Which is why some researchers say that tracing the path of fire is, in effect, tracing the path of humanity's earliest migrations. And here's the most striking truth of all. The stove, the oven, even the microwave in your kitchen today is a direct continuation of that ember blown to life in a cave a million years ago. Every time you cook a meal, you're using, without realizing it, the oldest technology your ancestors ever developed to survive. The fact that your brain is this large, that your jaw is this small, that you can sleep safely at night, that you can sit at a table with your family and share a meal. All of it you owe to that first breath blown onto a dying ember. Maybe that's why fire still feels so familiar to us. The calm you feel sitting in front of a campfire isn't a coincidence. Scientists have shown that firelight genuinely soothes the human nervous system, lowering cortisol levels. For hundreds of thousands of years, fire meant safety, meant food, meant survival, and that knowledge is still inside you. Maybe not in your DNA, but somewhere in your instincts. So the next time you turn on your stove or wait beside a barbecue, think about how ancient this ritual really is. You're not just cooking, you're carrying forward a million-year-old inheritance. The small flame your ancestors protected in the dark, in the cold, surrounded by predators. And maybe the most striking truth of all is this: every knob, every stove, every oven in your kitchen today has become so ordinary that we don't even think about it anymore. You lift a finger, the flame lights instantly. No effort, no risk at all. But a million years ago, this was a tribe's most precious, most fragile, most fiercely protected treasure. If lost, it might not be found again for days, even weeks. Now stop and consider. You can recreate that treasure with the push of a button in seconds, and you barely notice what a miracle that really is. And tonight, as you set a pot over that flame to cook dinner, you are, without realizing it, writing the latest line in humanity's survival story. That first spark blown to life in the darkness a million years ago is still burning, right now, in your kitchen.